For four of the biggest bank CEOs, they had to testify before the Financial Crisis Inquiry Committee. This is Congress appointed this committee. They're not members of Congress. Some of them are ex-members, but it once again sparks the debate on just exactly what Washington should do over Wall Street practices. With us now from Capitol Hill, Congressman Donald Manzullo, Republican from Illinois, and also a member of the House Financial Services Committee. Great to see you, Representative. Did you learn anything from watching this committee grill these guys?
Well, I actually did not have the opportunity to watch it, but I can imagine what was taking place. But what I find absolutely astounding, Liz, is the fact that on December 24th, the federal government, as per Mr. Geithner, is going to allow unlimited backing of Fannie and Freddie Mac securities, at the same time allowing the top executives and people below them turn up to $6 million in bonuses. I mean, this simply does not make sense. It just goes to show that it's too much government and government run amok.
It sounds like you're focusing on bonuses and things like that. I mean, and then these gentlemen who appeared today before this committee, J.P. Morgan, Morgan Stanley, Goldman Sachs, and Bank of America, are desperately trying anything they can to preserve bonuses. Do you think that is a proper way, or do you think the government should look at that and set that in their sights?
If a company is receiving federal money to stay afloat, at that point the rules change, and obviously the bonuses should be limited. It simply does not make sense because it's the taxpayers' money that's been used to pay the bonuses. When companies are independent, when they've gotten off the federal government's stipend or milk, call it whatever you want, then the free enterprise system, and to use a bad term, but I can't think of anything else, when the free enterprise system kicks in again, these issues become business issues and not government issues as to the extent of the bonuses.
Sounds like you don't like these guys too much because they took our money, yet they're continuing to be a little bit profligate with them. Am I correct?
Well, it is. I mean, I got in a big fight with Kashkari, who was the head of TARP last year, when he could not decide whether a $3 or $4 million bonus to somebody at AIG was excessive. And then finally he said, well, it may have been it may have been reserved compensation, whatever the word he used. And I said, that doesn't make sense. The American taxpayers, have to pay all this money, and then you guys still take our bonuses, the very people that made the companies go bad in the first place. But once you're out of the federal pen, once you're out on your own, once the taxpayer's been paid back 100% plus the interest, which is happening with these banks, then again, the private enterprise system, quote, kicks back in again, and the companies can do whatever they want.
People are looking at this and saying, nothing has really changed. And looking at, let's put bonuses aside and look at particular regulation. There have been sweeping efforts that the House is looking at things, and they've passed an oversight council idea, the public situation where they want to oversight this type of thing. But what about something just simply going down to one of the original problems, and that is forcing these guys, requiring them to have more collateral for ultra-risky investments like the credit default swaps that unwound through AIG, Goldman Sachs, and other counterparties in the first place?
You're absolutely correct. Instead of having a sharp knife to go directly to the problem because of lack of collateral, the House Committee that I serve on, dealing with financial services, passed, I think it was 8 massive bills all at one time. I mean, a giant step in completely screwing up the entire banking system, making for issues such as the government being able to control the salaries of people all the way down to the clerks that work in banks, even banks and companies that are not being controlled by the government or because of financial input.
So you're saying it should be more surgical, more specific. I would agree with you. I think we shouldn't take on too much, but go more specific. But what about this push, or at least discussion, to levy some type of fear tax on the big banks to pay back TARP? Do you agree with that? Would you vote for something like that?
Well, that doesn't make sense either, because the investors are getting so little on their return right now. I saw money market advertised for 1.5%. If you want to bring it down even more points, give the consumer less, just charge the banks more in taxes, because the taxes get passed on to the consumer anyway.
Representative Manzullo, love to talk to you. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Congressman